Hi, and welcome to the U World Order Showcase podcast. Today we have with us Dee May. Dee is a student of the Spirit, intuitive spiritual mentor. She's a psychic, medium, and tarot card reader, and also a podcast host of the Spiritually Speaking podcast. Welcome to the show, Dee. It's really great to have you here with us.
Thank you so much for having me, Jill. I appreciate you.
So tell us, how did you get started? I'm always curious about this with people that are wandering in the woo.
Yes, I do love it. Um, I actually got started in it quite early in life, but my path has been very tumultuous, I guess would be a good word. Maybe that's not a good word. That might be. Anyhow, it's been interesting, an interesting journey. But I saw my first spirit when I was about 5 years old that I remember seeing anyway. I'm sure I saw
Mhm.
spirit before then, but the first one I remember seeing was when I was around 5 years old. And it just always seemed very natural to me. And I was never afraid or anything like that. It just seemed like a normal thing to me. And I was unfortunately, or fortunately, however you look at it, was raised Pentecostal, which is a very, very strict religion. And there was none of that basically in that religion, or you were going to go to hot Hades for eternity. So I didn't really talk about it or explore it or anything until I got a whole lot older.
Interesting. It's interesting how religion can sometimes feel like it's put you in a pot and tied the lid on real tight around
Yes.
some of these gifts that people have that are pretty phenomenal. And it's like they go out of their way to make you feel like there's something wrong with you. But
Yes.
really it's something special that you have. And it's a gift. The
Yeah.
gifts are to help everybody else. I mean, the fact that you can see spirits is like, I'm sure it helps you, but really
Yeah.
it's for the larger community that you're part of.
It is. And it does help me a lot. I'm super grateful for the gifts that I have because it has been so healing for me, especially with certain relationships I've had. Like my parents crossed over a little over 2 years ago now, and we didn't have the greatest relationship. We didn't really have much of a relationship at all in my later years in life. And now that they've crossed over, it has completely shifted. And I have an amazing relationship with them now. And I just think about the people who don't believe in this or don't embrace their gifts, or it's that's so final to them. And there's none of this healing that can happen if you embrace that gift. And I mean, I've had some amazing conversations with my parents, and they were very devout Pentecostals.
Mhm.
And both of them, since they have crossed over, have come to me and told me that they're proud of me. And I am steadfastly in the spiritual space right now. So for them to come to me and say that, knowing I'm doing what I'm doing now, is just phenomenal. I mean, I can't tell you how healing that has been for me, truly.
I can totally relate to that. And with my own mom, I was the one steeped in religion, and I I had a terrible relationship with her most of my life. They were just like, I know that I know I asked for this before I came now, but I didn't know then. And um and after she passed, she came to me several times in dreams mostly, but it was just like there was total healing. Uh, all of
Mm,
all of the pain of our relationship was just like it melted away, and she was happy, and
yeah.
she was proud of me, and we were good. We are good. It,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's
And like you said, for people to get that message, I mean, if you're not in a place to receive it yourself, and there are many factors that go into not being able to get those messages on your own. So if you go to someone who is a medium and can help you get those messages from your loved one, it is immensely healing. And that's why I love it so much. I love talking to other people who do it and hearing their stories about people they've given messages to, because we
Mhm.
need it. It's so healing. And then when we heal as a collective, it just ripples out and we get stronger and we get better as people. So it's incredible.
It really is. And the whole we get stronger as a people theme, as people begin to understand and connect to the larger energy that we all exist in, and realize
Yes.
that, death and life are just like, they're just like a shift in perspective. That
Yes.
it's not black and white. It's they're together.
Yeah.
I'm not explaining it very well, but
Yeah, I totally agree with you. They are, and I caught myself because in a podcast that I just did with my friend who is also a medium, I said, in the real, in the real experience or whatever. And I was like, wait, it's all real. But what I mean is the living experience, it's the living experience, but it's all real. I mean, the energy doesn't die, and that's what we are. And it's so fascinating to me that some people don't recognize or acknowledge that, because when you think about how your physical body actually works, and what is it if your heart stops, if you go into cardiac arrest or something like that, what do they use to restart your heart? What do they use? They
electricity.
use electricity. And they zap you. And if we weren't electrical and we weren't energy in that way, that wouldn't have an effect on us. So it's all it is. It's all the same.
Uh, And then when you look at it on a larger scale, like in the universe, sometimes I like to go down these weird paths, but if you look at our
Let's
bodies,
go. They're my favorite.
our bodies are all a collection of cells. Cells are individual living entities by
Hmm.
definition. I don't know if they're sentient or not, but we are a collection of living organisms. That is what
Hmm.
is our body. Um, and then you've got a planet, that we are individual organisms. And like the plants and the animals, they're just like different organs in our bodies, still collections
Hmm.
of cells. It's just a little bit grander scale. And I know that it
Yeah.
goes out and out and out, but in each of those has a consciousness. We have our individual consciousnesses. Perhaps our cells have individual consciousnesses, and the earth has a consciousness, a collective
Hmm.
consciousness that we are all part of. And I don't I don't know where it all goes, but it's just interesting to watch as it. And I wonder if it goes the other way too. You know, inside the cells there's atoms. On those atoms could be
Yeah.
other civilizations. We don't know.
It's so interesting, because I listen to science. There's a few scientists that I love listening to. So they talk about this stuff about how, when you go one way and you're looking at everything, and it expands. Just the fact that you're looking at it makes it expand. And that's why we don't really know where the end of the universe is, or the galaxy, what I mean? Like there's all of this stuff. And the more you look at it, the bigger it gets. I mean, like I love listening to, I've listened to a lot of Joe Dispenza, Bruce Lipton. If you want to get into the cells, he's a microbiologist and he's
Yeah.
amazing to listen to. And he makes it really fun. He's not one of those dry guys. He makes it really fun to listen to. And Greg Braden, they all talk about this kind of stuff. And when you're going the opposite direction and inward, and you get to the subatomic particles and you keep going smaller and smaller, because we have equipment nowadays that can go right down. And the fact of the matter is, inside of the smallest thing that they can get inside of is space. That's it, space. So we are literally just a perception of space. It's fascinating.
Yeah. But it mind blowing, and interesting and exciting all at the same time. It's like you exist and you don't.
Yeah. Yes. It seems surreal, and it's like, I mean, you hear the phrase, truth is stranger than fiction. And it truly is. It truly is when you really think about the things that are actually real in this world and the things we write about. Fiction has nothing on the truth of how things really are, you know?
Hmm.
And one of my favorite things to say is you can't out creative spirit when you're trying to learn how to make things happen in your life. And I recently heard someone say, we don't do the law of attraction.
We
We
are.
be the law of attraction. It's just a state of being,
Mhm.
and that was just so fascinating to me because it is true. It's true, but we make it so complicated with our human side of our nature, so it's definitely a learning experience.
It is when it comes to manifesting. I've had the most amazing last 5 or 6 months. I just in terms of I've been really focused on it and
Mhm.
intentionally manifesting things, and so many amazing things have happened in my personal life. That's just like,
Yeah.
and it's just I'm not doing any. I'm not any different than I was before this started. It's just an awareness. It's like,
Yes.
but it's an awareness kind of like out of the corner of your eye, not really focused. It's just like
Hmm.
fuzzy vision, they used to call it in karate. It's the fuzzy
Yeah.
vision that happens out here that's very real, and it's where all the power is. It's not what you're
Yes.
seeing right in front of you. It's this here.
Yeah. And that's what our logical minds don't want to believe. And that's why we get stuck here in this tunnel
Yeah.
vision of thinking that's all there is what's right in front of us and what we can see. We don't allow ourselves to believe that our dreams are all right here, right? Like you said, but we don't let ourselves believe it. And that's the logical mind. And you can't explain. I mean, how do you explain all the things, the synchronicities that have happened for you over the last 5 months? There's no way to explain it, right? It's just
No,
these amazing things that just happened because you decided to believe in fuzzy vision and trust it and know that at some point it's going to pop through into this place so that you can actually touch it.
yeah, and when it does, it's like, there it is. There it is. It happened. We were talking
Yeah.
before we got on here and started recording that you were having an amazing day, and I told you I was going to ask you about
Yes.
it. I think now is the time. Is it
Yes. It's been,
happening
it's
out
been,
here
I've
in
been,
the fuzzy vision world?
it is. And it's just so fun. One of the things I've really learned here recently is that we don't have to do this by ourselves, right? Because I used to always think that if I couldn't do it by myself, then I didn't deserve to do it, didn't deserve to have it because someone else helped me get there. So it wasn't like me did it. You know what I mean? And what I have learned recently is that we need other people, like really need other people because we can only grow so far on our own. So when we have these other people in our lives that can help us, or at least, like my friend said to me today, at least validate. Hey, I've felt that too. You're not batshit crazy. It's just, that's the way things happen sometimes. That's the way they unfold sometimes. And so it's been a really emotional day, and I've talked to a couple different ones of my friends, and there's an opportunity that has presented itself, and it wouldn't be, it is an amazing opportunity, and I'm really, really intrigued by it, really, really excited about it. But there's this thing that I'm not sure exactly how it's going to play out yet, and that's kind of exciting and fascinating. And I talked to one of my friends, and she's like, well, she presented a different angle and allowed me to see things a little bit differently. So now I'm just gonna, I've just got this intention of this is if this is supposed to happen, then it will work itself out and I won't have to do anything at all to make it work. It'll just play itself out in a beautiful way. So I'm really excited about it.
I'm excited for you. And the thing that I do
You.
know is that when you can allow yourself to be in that state of, this is what I want,
Mhm.
and I'm just allowing myself to be open to receiving it however it gets here. And if
Yes.
that's the mechanism that is supposed to, like, all of the pieces will fall into place and the path will just open up and you'll walk down it and you'll get to the destination and it'll be easy peasy. It's when we start trying to help the universe because it can't possibly know any better than us.
Right.
Even then, we've been here for a nanosecond. It's been around forever.
Yes.
But we know
Yes,
better.
exactly. Right. We think we do. And I was that person for the longest time and I still catch myself sometimes and because I wanted to figure everything out and understand it and I wanted to know how it was going to end up and who the players were going to be and how long it was going to take and all of these things and it really doesn't matter. I have a spiritual mentor in my life right now and he told me he's like D, stop getting so emotional about it. Just let it teach you. Just be ever vigilant and let it teach you. And I hear that to me, that has been one of the best pieces of advice that I've ever received in my entire life because it applies to everything. So I'll catch myself, getting upset or trying to figure something out, and I'll hear his voice in my head saying, just relax, let it teach you, just stop trying to control everything. You know what I mean? Because when we let go of the reins a little bit, the universe is going to take us a completely different direction sometimes, but it's going to be so amazing. And we wouldn't have been able to come up with it in a million years. Never.
Exactly. Exactly. It's just the letting go, the not having to be perfect and enjoying the mistakes. The Japanese have
Yes.
this tradition where if something breaks, they gild it in gold, the crack, so that
Yes.
the thing that's broken is much better and valuable than it was to begin with. I think letting things evolve naturally and
Yeah.
organically, it looks messy, but it's so
Hmm.
beautiful. And if
Yeah.
you can just enjoy the process and enjoy the beauty and enjoy the the things that come along, you know,
Yeah.
yeah, some stuff's not going to work right and tech's going to do what tech does because it's tech.
Yes. Right. Well, and
But
I
on the
think, one of the things that has been coming up, in my world here recently too, is that we don't want to sit with the things that don't feel good to us.
Mhm.
The things that frustrate us or the things that make us cry or make us mad or don't feel good to us in some way. We don't want to sit with that. We want to always be feeling good. And we think that if we're not always feeling good, things aren't going in the right way. And that couldn't be further from the truth because sometimes when things are feeling yucky and everything, that's where the biggest lessons are. That's where the biggest shifts in our soul are. And
Mhm.
so if we can allow ourselves just to feel that and say, what is this teaching me? What possibilities exist in this moment from this situation? you know, and not get so bogged down in, gee, this feels like crap right now. Because I know personally, and I'm sure, and I know this is true for everyone, not just for me, but
Mhm.
some of the times in my life where things have felt the worst. And I was like, oh my God, how am I even like, I don't even feel like I can breathe right now. You know, those were the times in my life when the shifts were happening that pushed me in a direction that I was going to refuse to go if I hadn't had those moments, and I needed to go in that direction. So those are the things that happened that pushed me into the more beautiful place and the more peaceful place. So if we can look at it that way, instead of being so overwhelmed by the fact that it doesn't feel good in the moment, then there is so much magic in that.
And giving ourselves grace going through the
Yes.
process. Don't beat yourself up because things didn't turn out the way that you thought they should. You know, the shoulds of life are nothing. They're just things you've made up for yourself. They're the to-do list. You can just cross the shoulds out of it. Maybe you want to, maybe it's just not meant for you. It's okay.
Right.
Sometimes things blow up in life and it can be really painful going through it. But if you can
Mhm.
give
Yep.
yourself the grace and the space to say, okay, yeah, this sucks hard. I feel you, but I'm not going to really react over it. I'm just going to accept
Yeah.
that it hurts and that it's yucky and we'll just move on because tomorrow is going to be a different day and new
Yeah.
things are going to come along. And it almost invariably, I'm thinking about something that happened in my own life that was really traumatic for my whole family. It wasn't like it just hit me personally, but on the other side of it was everything I'd always hoped for. It's
Yeah.
just like,
Exactly. And that's it. And we can find if we really allow ourselves just to be in that place and,
mhm,
and just kind of take stock of things that we really are okay. And I
mhm,
think that we get so reactive that we're like, oh, this is happening and it doesn't feel good. So I'm not okay. Hey, you are. You are. 99.9% of the time, you are just fine in that moment. It doesn't feel good. It's not fun. It sucks, like you said, going through it. It hurts your heart, but you really are okay. And allowing yourself to see the possibilities on the other side of that. You know, sometimes one of the things I say is we hold on so hard to what we're experiencing. Like we don't want to let go of, let's use a relationship as an example. You're in a crappy relationship, but you don't want to let go because you think there's nothing beyond that. But the thing is, if you never let it go, you don't know. There's always something beyond that thing, always, always. And we hold on so tightly, and we will, there's that illustration where someone's holding on to a rope and their hands are getting all tore up and their feet are literally just inches from the ground. And all they have to do is just let go and they're safe. And I think that's what we need to realize, that it doesn't always look pretty and we're scared, and that's normal. And that's what we have to understand too, that it's okay to be scared, but just allow yourself to see the possibilities. If you do let go of that rope, if you do let go of that relationship, there's going to be something else for you in the future that's better for you.
yeah, it'll, at the very least, it's going to be different and it's a new
Yeah.
experience. There's a book written by Jonathan Bach. It was called, or no, Richard Bach. It's called The Reluctant Messiah. I don't know if you've ever read it. It's a great
Mm.
book. He also wrote Jonathan Livingston Seagull back in the 70s, I think. But this book is in the beginning. There's the prologue that's it's handwritten, looks like it's written on a yellow notepad. And it's all about these creatures that live in the stream and they cling to the side. And, you don't want to let go. Don't let go.
Mhm. Yeah.
Don't let go. And one creature is just like, I can't take it anymore. And he releases and he goes down the stream and he finds this whole new, wonderful life because he let go.
Yeah. Yes. And that's a great illustration for how life really truly is. And we are so afraid, and that's what holds us back from almost everything. Fear of not being enough, fear of failure, fear of success. I mean, we're
Fear
full
everything.
of fear in a lot of ways. Yeah. And being different, like you said, it can be different. And the thing is, that's what scares a lot of people, is the fact that it's different, because we get so comfortable. I was married for 20 years, and it was not a good marriage. It was very stressful, and there was a lot of, dynamics there and everything, but I knew what to expect, right? Even though I wasn't enjoying it, I knew what to expect every single day. So in that, there was comfort, because I knew what my day to day was going to hold. Being outside of that, like when I finally decided I'm done and I'm going to leave, I was terrified. I didn't know how to do life alone, like on my own as a single woman. I didn't know how to do that. I'd never lived by myself in my entire life until I got divorced, and that was terrifying to me.
Mhm.
But you know what I found? Peace, peace, you know, and the ability to make my own decisions without someone judging every move I made. I mean, it was incredible, but I was terrified. But if I hadn't let that go, I wouldn't have gotten to experience the peace that came after that.
Yeah. E- Everything that we go through in life is like that. There's always trade-offs. But if we can
Yeah.
just open ourselves up and just jump, the universe, just take that step because the solid ground is going to happen. It always
Yes.
does. You can count on it. It may not look like what you think
Yeah.
it's going to look like, but it will happen. And
Yeah.
if you do life with intention, and you can equate it to like vision boards or whatever, something that
Yeah.
you're comfortable thinking about. But an intention is just telling the universe, hey, I think I like this. I want more of this in my life. Or
Yeah.
I think I would like my life to look like this. And then just set it aside. Let the universe work on it. And it may bring you
Yeah.
some little things along the way to say, like this. And it might just be like, if your intention is to manifest a bunch of money, because a lot of people like to do this. If you find a penny on the ground, hey, pick it up, be grateful,
Yes, that's
celebrate it.
right.
Yes, universe, that's what I'm talking about.
Thank you.
Cash
Yeah.
money. Thank you. And put it in your pocket
Yes.
and then put it in your treasure chest and make a big deal about it because it tells the universe
Yeah.
you're on the right track. That's what I'm looking for.
Yes.
And then more and more of it will come. And it doesn't have to come in any specific way. And believe me,
Right.
it can come from the most unexpected spaces. I've literally manifested over $100,000 in the last 6 months
That's amazing. Congratulations.
from a variety of different places. And it's not like anything I've done. I haven't done anything. It's just that it comes here and it comes from there. And it's just it's like one day it was just like, oh, well, I love this. Because I set the intention
No.
to have $1 million come into my life this year.
Oh, that's
And
amazing.
it's I see evidence
It's
of it
coming in.
happening and
Yeah.
it's coming in.
We have to open up the possibility, and that's just it because, I just told this story in a recording with my friend, but I have a friend named Jessica, and every time her palm itches, she gets money from somewhere. It might be different, varying amounts of money. It's never been a windfall, but she always gets money when her palms itch. And I was like, does it matter which hand? Because, like you hear like one hand is for receiving, one hand is for it going out, coming in, going out. She goes, no, it doesn't matter. Either hand can itch. And she said, I'll get money. And I was like, well, that doesn't happen to me. And then I thought, but what if it did? What if it did happen like that for me? And
Mhm.
then week before last, my palms were itching. I mean, like crazy. I was like scratching them sitting at the table, and I was talking to Steve about it. And I was like, man, my palms itch. And Jessica says when she does this, it always gets money, but I never do. I go, but what if I did? And I just threw that out there. Okay, my palms itch. So what if I do get some money? That'd be cool. Don't know where that's going to come from, but I'm just going to let that be. And I have another friend, and she's local. So she allowed me to put some of my artwork into her massage studio. And I went to my grandma's last week. And then when I came back, she called me and she's like, guess what? And I was like, what? She goes, one of your trees sold, the big one. And I was like, holy crap, there's my money from my itchy palms. I mean, and
So
because I
when
just
your
threw that out
palms
there. And
itch, money's coming.
that's right.
I think part of it is being um A, open to the possibilities, but B, looking
Yes.
for evidence to prove it's true. Because sometimes we put things
Yes.
out there and we forget to look. It's just like
Yes.
it may have actually even happened, but we don't
Yes.
know because
We
we weren't
forget to
paying
notice it.
attention.
Right. Eyes wide open. We got to have our eyes open, our ears open, our hearts open. I mean, my life has shifted exponentially since I started listening to my soul, because it's like what feels good, not what makes sense. Don't think about what makes sense, because that's not always going to work for you. And
Mhm.
what other people think about it, looking all crazy, and that you should be doing this, and there's those shoulds again, right? You
Right?
should be doing that. Just let it flow. What feels good? What does your soul need to do? And since I've done that, like my business doesn't even look the same as it did before, and it's changed so much. And I'm excited to see what else is going to happen, because I've just opened up and said, if it feels good, I'm going to do it, and if it doesn't speak to my soul, I'm not going to do it, no matter how much sense it makes to anybody, really. It doesn't
Mhm.
matter. I'm just going to follow my soul from now on, because all of these cool things are happening now, all of these synchronicities, all of these people that are so in alignment with the way I believe and look at things are coming in. And I'm developing these relationships with people that I never would have had before if I'd have just continued plowing through the stuff that wasn't feeling good to me before.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean it wasn't good stuff. It was good stuff, but it just wasn't for me.
And some things can be for you for now, but not for
Mhm.
later. I mean, we're
Right.
traveling. Things are
Yes.
constantly changing and shifting. Nothing is ever always the same,
Right.
and
That's
nothing
very
will
true.
ever look exactly the way you imagine it, even if you're trying to get your website redone, because just are not going to be you and they're not going to read your mind, no matter how
Right.
many intuitive designers you talk to. But
That's funny.
the
Yes,
big,
and that's why I named my business what I named it. It's Eternal Soul Evolution. I actually changed the name of my business this year to Eternal Soul Evolution, because it's exactly what you said. We are never in the same place. One thing that is an absolute in this life is that things are always moving and shifting. They're never staying in the same place ever.
yeah, and a lot of times it's circular. It's like a spiral. You just keep
Yes.
moving out, it gets bigger, and you go through the same seasons, but every season is different and brings different challenges and blessings. And it's just life is so yummy if you can just relax into it and
Yeah.
enjoy it.
And it gets fun. I mean, to me, it gets really fun checking out how things come across every day, the learning, and you find yourself in a situation where you're like, oh, that feels like crap. But then you get out of it so much faster, because you're paying attention, you're
Mhm.
being vigilant, and you're allowing things to teach you, and you realize those epiphanies come a whole lot quicker. And then you notice the synchronicities, and it just gets fun to just check it out and talk to your friends and be like, oh, you won't believe what happened today, even though we do believe it, because we know we're all on that same wavelength. But it's
Mhm.
just really cool and fun to see how it all unravels as time goes by.
And it's fun to be able to share with other people that just accept it as like this is totally normal.
Yes.
I love that. And there's nothing wrong with you for enjoying it. And for just,
Yeah.
I saw the stars last night. I haven't seen the stars in a while. And I just was like, they're so beautiful
Yeah.
because it had been cloudy for a lot of the months. And it just to appreciate the small glimpse or the new growth on trees that happens in the
Yeah.
spring and watching it move from
Yes.
winter to summer and all of the processes that happen. They're small, they're small incremental changes, but all of a sudden everything's going to be green and there's going to be flowers and it's just going to be an explosion of life. and then it'll melt into summer, and that will be a different experience. And then
Mhm.
fall. I don't know. I just love it. I love life.
Yeah.
So good.
I do too. And it's amazing and it's beautiful. And that's what it's all about, is just embracing all of it instead of, feeling like you can only be happy because when it's a certain temperature outside or you're in a certain location or whatever, I do believe in being where you're happy though. Like I totally moved out of Indiana because I hate freezing cold weather. I'm a Florida girl, so I came back home to Florida.
Mhm.
And not everybody liked that, but it's
No.
okay. But embracing the wholeness of everything instead of limiting our happiness to this little snapshot in time. And I love watching things like that too, and noticing the beauty in things can totally shift your world. When I was going through a really tough time in life and I felt like I didn't know how I was going to move forward, and I distinctly remember pulling up to a red light and there was a stand of palm trees in the median and there was this blue sky, the kind that you look like you could dive into it.
Mhm.
And the wind was blowing and those palm fronds were just waving against that sky and I was just mesmerized and I thought, how beautiful. And that was when things started shifting for me, at that point in my journey, because we get to allow ourselves to see beauty even when we're going through something difficult. And it completely changes everything because it shows us the possibilities that are there.
Yeah. And the palm tree doesn't have anything invested in whether you have a good day or a bad day. It's just there.
Right.
It's
Yep.
waving
It's
its
just there
little
being a palm tree.
fronds.
Yeah,
But it made such a big difference in your life, or at least in
it
your day.
did. Yeah, it made a big difference in my life because that's when I really started allowing myself to think, things can be different. I can move forward from this situation that I'm in. And it was my last toxic relationship that I was in before I got in this amazing relationship I'm in now, where I'm completely safe and I can be myself 100%. I get to drink my coffee in peace every morning and there's no screaming and yelling, I mean, it's amazing. And if it hadn't been for those palm trees, I don't know. I mean, allowing myself to see the beauty in that day, I don't know how much longer it would have been before I thought things can be beautiful in my life. You don't have to stay this way.
I love coffee and peace alone in the morning. It's like it's important to me. It's a ritual, and I don't want anybody else around. I tolerate my dogs, but I give them something to entertain themselves. Leave me alone. I I only get
Right,
one cup a day. I want to really enjoy this.
right. Yeah. And it's a great opportunity. We always say we don't have time, well, not always, but a lot of us say we don't have time to journal or, spend a little bit of time with ourselves. But if you're doing having a cup of coffee, that's the perfect time to journal. I journal with my coffee every morning and I draw myself a tarot card or two, or sometimes more, depending on what my deck decides I need to see that
Yeah.
day.
Half
And,
of it dumps out on the table. You
I've
need all
had
this,
that
girl.
happen. I'm like, I really literally do not have time for that many cards today. So, and yeah, and I journal about all of the cards. I journal about the dreams I've had that night and everything. And it's just taking that few minutes of time to give yourself some love and care and allow yourself to put your soul onto paper. And going back and reading that sometimes is really, really fascinating. And you get to see just how much spirit is actually working in your life when you go back and read your journals.
Yeah, and there's living in the present, but also appreciating what's come before to bring you to this place, and being able to envision a future that you want to experience, and allowing yourself to
Yes.
sit and feel and smell and hear and taste the experience in the present,
Yes.
and then be looking for it to show up.
Yes,
That's
be
the big
watching for
thing.
those signs and synchronicities. And it's, like I want a aqua blue pickup truck. I've always wanted a pickup truck. I want an aqua blue one. And when I'm driving down the road in our black Tahoe, I'm not driving down the road in the black Tahoe. I'm driving down the road in my aqua blue pickup truck. I just have that vision. I see the aqua blue hood in front of me and, you know, and and that's just and feeling the feeling. We've got to emotionalize it too, feeling how exciting it is and how much it means to you to have that thing so that you can do whatever it is with it that you're planning to do. You know, Having the vision beyond the vision is one of the phrases I heard from a coach that I listened to in a podcast. And I thought that was really cool how we need to have that next step, kind of, even if we don't know it's in firmness, that we have kind of an idea what we want to do after we reach this goal here. I think that's really cool too, having that just
Yeah.
kind of out there.
Nicole Majik said, out of time. Uh, And she meant it in that you're not in the moment, not that you're out of time, like you ran out of time, but
Right.
you've removed yourself from the timeline. So you're out of
Yes.
time, sitting out there, having a different experience, and then you can move
Mhm.
back in.
Yeah.
I liked the way that
That's
made me feel.
yeah, that's really cool because time is a human construct anyway. It doesn't exist in other places. They don't recognize, I mean, like it's just a human thing that we do because we like to, bag tag and label everything. And I mean, it- it's kind of like the logical piece of things. Like we have to have the logical piece of things because if you have a job, you need or a meeting for a podcast interview, you have to show up at that space so that you can do the thing. But we don't have to. I mean, there's so many other pieces to life that aren't logical. And those are my favorite things. They really are my favorite things.
Even when you think about what we're doing here when recording this, we are not
Mhm.
together. We have
Right.
made an arrangement to exist in space somewhere that doesn't actually even exist together.
Right. Yes.
Isn't that
Yeah, that's
interesting?
pretty amazing when you think about it. That's probably going to trip a lot of people out when they hear you say that, but I'm on the same page as you. It's so true. And it's just such a really cool thing, because I love playing out there in I call it playing in the stratosphere. That's like my favorite thing, because it's so free. You don't have any of the constructs of being in the human world, and it's fun. And then you come back in and you have to deal with the logical side of things. You have to make sure your bath water's not too hot or it'll burn your skin, or things like that. Stay on the right side of the road when you're driving, the correct side of the road depending on where you are. So yeah, it's really cool. It's fun to look at things from all of the different perspectives.
I love it. So, how do people work with you? If they wanted you to mentor them, how would that look?
I have 3 month, 6 month, or longer mentorships. And
Mm,
the reason I want to do the mentoring, or that I'm doing the mentoring and not the coaching, is because to me, it's a more intimate relationship. You get more of my time. There's more
uh,
guidance. There's more availability for those conversations that, you're going to have questions about and things like that. And so I like that. It's more intimate to me, do the mentorship. It feels like a closer connection than just the coaching. So that's what I do. And of course, I have the intuitive readings and mediumship readings and tarot readings. If anybody's interested in something like that, a friend of mine and I we're starting to do a monthly night of mediumship and intuitive readings online where people can purchase a Zoom pass. And come and join us, and we'll do intuitive readings and answer any questions people have, about what we do or the process of intuitive and mediumship readings. And I also have a Facebook group where people can connect with me. I'm on Facebook, I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Instagram. I've been spending more time on Facebook lately because that's where my group is. So I'm a lot more active on Facebook than I am anywhere
Mhm.
else. So that's a great place to connect with me too.
So, so all of this is going to be available on your website.
Yes, I
And
have links to all of this stuff on my website.
okay. And that's the eternal soul evolution.com. Um,
Yes.
and I'll put that in the show notes. Talk a little bit more about that, the Zoom thing that you're doing. I think that's really fascinating. It's kind of
Yeah.
like
So
being
it's
able
just,
to like walk into a medium and but it's a group
it's
structure.
a group setting. So if you watch people on TV, like, Teresa Caputo or anyone like that that's been on TV, where they go into a room full of people and they're on stage,
Mhm.
and then they just pick up on certain spirits, and they'll say, well, I'm picking up on a grandfather and he looks like this and he's saying, and give some details, and then there'll be someone in the audience who is like, hey, that sounds like my grandpa, and then the reading will get more intimate after that. So it's kind of like that, and then my friend and I do it together.
Mhm.
So she'll pick up on someone and then I will, or it's something we like doing it together because it just seems to, when you have that common energy. And plus, I love to bring people with me when I go, when I feel like I'm going places and what I'm doing. So I want to bring my friends with me because I have no sense of competition at all. I want my friends' success just as much as I want my own. So it's easy to do it together, and it's
Yeah.
fun. And I and I think it provides a different experience also for the people who show up for the readings. And we didn't have that many people show up last time because it was our first one and we're just getting started with that.
Mhm.
But people commented on it. The video's getting close to 800 views now. And
Wow.
people have commented, I wish I'd seen this when it was live. And, so I will be posting about that. I do have a Facebook group on for spiritually speaking as well. There's a free group, and I always post things in there first and give the people in the group the opportunity to participate in those opportunities first before I post it outside of the group. So that's one of the perks of being in the group is you get first dibs on whatever it is we're doing. And
That's really
then
exciting.
after, yeah, and then if there's not enough people who want to participate inside of the group, then I'll post it on my YouTube channel and in my regular Facebook profile so that other people can jump in if they want to. But it's
Very
really
cool.
fun. We had a lot of fun last time.
Yeah, I'm going to be scoping you out for sure. It just sounds like a great time. So
Yeah.
we covered all that. What's the one thing you want to leave the audience with, or you hope that they take away from this conversation? We've
Oh,
covered so
don't be
much
afraid to
ground.
explore your spirituality. Yes, we did. We covered a lot of ground. But don't be afraid to explore your spirituality and understanding that stepping into that space where you allow yourself to experience your spirituality in a deeper, more intimate way is going to absolutely shift your life and start bringing things into your life that you can't even imagine. And you just, I mean, it's so beautiful. It really is. So that would be the big thing. Just don't be afraid. And if you need help not being afraid, I'm definitely here to help you through that.
Awesome. Thanks for joining me, Dee. This has been awesome.
Yeah, it has. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate you so much.